Hello everybody, this is Pete from PA Labs, and I know I'm a little late getting this out this morning, but it's only due because I've been working on it. So yesterday was a great day of coding. I've got pretty much the whole thing done, with the exception of the window code. So this is a setup. I've kind of recreating itself inside itself, which is kind of funny in my opinion. But we have the generated code here, and it's getting better. This is the code behind the window. So if you looked at the form itself, these are the functions and the loading of the gadgets on the screen for this particular class, and that's doing pretty good. I've got the insert or the create and modify, and the delete doesn't quite look very good yet. Oh no, yeah. Delete's doing all right, I think. I've got a few variants to check on. The save, I still don't have the window close in place, but it's getting there. We've tested out the code for the SQL create. I've tested out the code for the database class itself, and it looks really good. Let's see what else. I've had a little scope creep. Imagine that, a developer with a little scope creep. There's certain things that I've added. This biggest amount of scope creep is here in the settings. I've added the inclusion or injection of, or the optional injection of a couple forms. Only because I use them in just about every single project I do, and I get tired of creating them brand new every time. So you have the ability to include a list form and a list option. And I was thinking on this last night. If I come back over to the code, I don't want to go to forms there. Duh. I want to go to forms here. And let's go ahead and bring up a list form. List form is it's where you have the analogies I was thinking of for a list form would be if you're building an adventure game sort of thing, and you have a whole bunch of potions. Well, you'd have one database class for potions, and then each record in the database class would be a different type of potion. So you'd have a list class to display all the potions, and then you can go into each one: the health potion, the energy potion, the invincibility potion, maybe the cure poisons and stuff like that. The other class I added is jump back to here, is a list option. And this guy, the analogy that I came up with last night was we're still working on our adventure game, and we have armor. Well, armor's a massive topic, but it's all the same stuff. Different stats, different image, different this, that, or the other, and you'd have categories in there of, helmets, chest armor, gloves, gauntlets, boots, various sorts of pieces, classifications of armor, and you'd have multiples of each. So here you have an option of selecting based on a category and then presenting the list of the class and then modifying from here. Now these two forms are relatively specialized forms, and the code for the window really needs to include the list and the class itself. So that's a specialized example of the forms and also of the window code, the code behind the window. And for that, let's bring up one of my classes. Let's see, let's close this down. Settings is a good idea. We can go to settings. Let's come over here. We have the window of settings, and we have the settings class. Now the settings class has lots of different properties, and it's got a bunch of functions in here, right, or procedures. So I have a procedure for setting this screen, and this would be where we've loaded the data from the database, and now we're opening the window and we're setting the gadgets to be equal to the database values. So we're loading the screen for the user, and it includes your entire control loop. And then you would have functions for saving, procedures for saving, a reverse of we take it from the database and we load it to the screen. Well, it only makes sense. We got to take it from the screen and put it back into the database object after it's been validated, or maybe we put it back into the object and validate the object. And then we have a save function. The save manages the call to the settings, the saving the settings, and actually does the database update. And then a single focused close. So that's just an example of what I'm referring to when I'm talking about the code behind the window, is the code that manages going from a database class or database object with all its properties and moving them to the screen and taking them from the screen and bringing them back into the database and saving them to the database. It would include things like modifying, creating new records. Obviously, you only get one setting record, but let's look at maybe let's see, I'll probably have way too much code in this. I didn't build this little window I'm recording to be gigantic. That's probably by design. Oh wait, yes it is. So in the example of a database field, there's a lot of fields on a the database class fields. There's a whole lot of forms, a whole lot of gadgets that got to get loaded from our database field object that it's all coming from. And then we go into the control loop and it manages from there. But you'll have a create function and a modify function and a delete function. It'll have the moving of the screen values back into the database object itself. It's got a save and a close. No big deal. It's pretty straightforward what it is. So this is different than, say, the database class. Let's look at the project. Let's look at the DB field. So the database field has the object itself way up here at the top. Has a structure. This is all in a declared module, and this is all generated code. 99%. I tweak things, but by and large, this is almost completely generated code. Once you set up your DB field object, then it generates the enumerator for you. And then if you've defined things to be combo boxes or lists, it'll build out the declares and then the actual functions and stuff. So here, let's look at a load combo function. It takes in a parameter of a combo box, that would be the enumerator, and then it takes a DB class, and then you have a switch to add a none value, so you have nothing selected or you have something selected. So if by chance you want a none, so we'll go ahead and add the none in first, right after we clear it. We're clearing the items out of the combo box. And then we create the SQL to run against the database. We execute the SQL, and then we load the results of the database query into the actual combo box itself, and then we're done. So we make a call here, we pass it a combo box, he clears the combo box, loads it up with the data we asked for, and then this code exits and everybody's happy. So I have similar type things where we can, this would be an offset. This is loading a combo based on a field name as opposed to the getting it by ID. So you can do a find on the field name. Let's see, we have various other table functions in here, the find, the save, the delete, validating your objects and stuff like that. This one is somewhat of a hybrid. He's got a lot of additional stuff in him. He's got some built-in enumerators that are only for him. So he's a little bit customized. So to show you, let's see, let's go look. So here's my database class. Let's go ahead and modify this. So we have our class definition up here in the database class. We've identified what the form is and if he has a parent form. This one really doesn't need a parent form, so we can select that none option. Is the parent a list or list option? No, it's just normal. It should probably be blank. Is the database class a collection? Well, no. It has a collection. It has a collection of fields. So when we add a field to this, this is a database object that we're creating. We're adding a field to a class. So the field itself is a collection. So we come in and we define the data type, and we define what we want to see, if we want combos, if we want a list option, that kind of thing. And so we get all done and save everything back. So now with him selected, I can generate the database code and come in here, and here's my enumeration that was built. Those are the fields that I have on this for my database class. Here's the declared functions that he generated for me. Did I set up? Yes, I haven't gotten that far yet. So today is going to be an entire day of building, testing all of this code generation. One of the other things, I have gotten all of this finished. The whole thing is basically finished. I even have a README that's ready to deploy with this to tell you how to customize it at your end. The big parts there is I need to show you the table structure. If I jump over to here, let's see, we're in development, projects, desktop. In desktop, we have a database. This is where the database is keyed in. This is the database to the project. We have the DB classes. These are the folders that you actually see over here in the database class, enumerator, form, all of these sorts of things are all parts of the structure of the code. So when you download the code, put it on your machine, there's a few things that you're going to have to change. If we come out here to the DB script, line 56, this is the path to the database. Okay, since I'm giving you code, you're going to be able to run this from code. This obviously is aimed at my particular installation. You'll have to aim it at yours. Not a big deal. The other thing that you'll have to change is down here in the constants. Open up. There we go. I get my double clicker. Doesn't necessarily like me all the time. Scroll to the very bottom, and these are the images that get loaded into the buttons and that sort of thing. You'll have to move this path. Ideally, you could also just drop this whole piece off, do a change all, and get rid of that and make it just a relative path to the application itself. And one change and the whole thing's ready to compile at your end. I went ahead and left it all in as a basic, this is how things are done in Pure Basic, or at least how I do them in Pure Basic. With development and code, you'll always find there's a million answers to every question, and the one that's right to you is the right one. Obviously, you're the developer, you get to decide these things. So that really concludes the video today. We are, or I am, just about done. Today is going to be spent completely looking at and testing all of the generated code. And it will be, I'm going to begin the manual that goes with this, and that's going to be, I'm going to try to keep that really short, focused, and aimed at what you need to know to use this tool. And probably in a couple days it'll be released, barring any disasters of coding or life in general. So as always, I want to say thank you all very much for watching.